Today is March 30th, 2018, episode 10 of The Useful Idiots.
Shut up and sit down.
Shut up and sit down. You're listening to The Useful Idiots. Hey, what is up, all you useful idiots?
I just realized that we always assume that people are standing up when they listen to us.
Well, if they are, they better sit down and shut up.
Otherwise, they'll miss all the excellent points that we make each and every week here.
Yeah, well, it's more than each. Well, yeah, you're right. Okay. Each and every day, Paul. All right.
Every day, every second of every day.
Every second of every day.
We always got things up here.
All
pointing
day,
to my head.
every day. All right.
How you doing today, Luke?
I'm doing all right. I'm a little tired, but it's just because you get out of work so late that I have to.
I'm here early. We're recording usually when I just arrive. Okay, maybe not as efficient as I'd like it to be, but I'm improving.
Yeah, you are improving. Yeah, you're moving up on in life, and I like it.
No, we're still at the bottom. We're still scraping the barrel there.
Yeah, that's right. We'll be moving on up soon enough, man. All right.
I didn't think you'd be singing today.
Nah, I'm always singing, just in my head a lot. Okay, so Paul,
yes?
I know that this was going to be your beat. You are a man who was so excited to talk about the budget. Budget. I'm going to call it the budget crisis.
Well, yeah. Excited to talk about how terrible it is.
Yes, it is that.
That's not exactly my beat. You enjoy this as well.
Only when Rand Paul gets up and just loves tweeting and talking about
the
it.
lone fiscal conservative member of the government, not just the Senate or the House.
Yes, in the entirety of the government. Exactly.
Conservative Republicans are officially he's the lone survivor.
Yeah, they're all dead. It's now the United States government of Democrats and liberals.
Yeah, it's
or progressives even.
Who could spend the most, the fastest?
Exactly.
And the Republicans, they're they're on their way.
They've been up there as long as I can remember. If it's not social spending, which they're willing to just bend over and take it now for social spending, they've always wanted as much military spending as possible, which I have a lot of problem with spending, but the defense budget is just absurd in my mind, man. And I have a few points I'll touch on later about that.
Alrighty.
So, if anybody did not know, there is a budget that was just signed in by Donald Trump.
The omnibus bill.
The omnibus. What does omnibus mean?
I don't know. I'm going to Google that word right now.
Google that while I talk about this here. So, Paul, as you know already, it is a 2,232-page budget. Congress was only given 22 hours to read and vote on this.
All right, I have the definition of omnibus.
Tell me, please.
There's three definitions of omnibus.
Okay.
A volume containing several novels or other items previously published separately.
Okay.
A bus.
Okay.
Those are the two so far.
Okay.
It could also be an adjective meaning comprising several items.
It sounded
It's
way
a fancy
cooler.
way to say it, though.
Yeah,
omnibus.
It sounded way cooler than the definition makes it sound. Okay, so it's nothing special. It's literally like they're just trying to make it sound fancy.
That's what they do. They like to trick us.
Exactly. They know that most people don't understand what omnibus means. Therefore, I don't know.
They're not going to get it.
They're not going
to realize that they're getting screwed.
Yeah, we're all going to be getting screwed. Well, not all of us. Special interests are going to be okay.
Well, yeah, they'll be fine. If you work in Washington, D.C., you're all right.
Yeah, like Tucker Carlson said, everyone's going to be out buying Land Rovers after this after this budget was passed.
Oh, you mean the people that passed it?
All the lobbyists and special interest. So I did get the counts for the votes, and it was in fact it was passed by a wide margin. The Senate voted in favor, 65 votes to 32 votes, and that was made up of for the people who voted against it. It was 23 Republicans, 8 Democrats, and 1 independent. Do you know who the one independent was?
Oh, it's not Bernie Sanders.
It was Bernie Sanders.
Oh, it was Bernie Sanders.
That was a good guess. I guess there's only one
It's
independent.
the only one
in all
I can think
Congress.
of.
He's the only one in Congress.
I'm like, Jesse Ventura, he wasn't in Congress. I don't think he has a job right now in
No,
government.
he just wants to try and show everybody that there's something going on behind these gates. Let me in behind these gates. What are you hiding from me?
I didn't know you had a Jesse Ventura impression.
You would call that the impression.
No, that's
It was
pretty
a-
close. I think the world doesn't know it yet, but it's waiting to hear your Mark Levin impression.
Oh, it's gonna come out one day, and I was about to do it right there because you just tempted me.
Yeah. Now you got cold feet. Huh?
I got sweaty palms. So hold on, we did still have one more House. The one more piece of Congress. It was the House voted in favor, 256 votes to 167 votes. That is comprised for voting against of 90 Republicans, 77 Democrats voting against.
Bipartisan opposition.
Yeah, that's pretty nice. Now, of course, I believe the Democrats were opposing it because of the lack of funding for DACA. And
DACA.
the immigration of
They wanted
allowing the illegals. How would you say this?
the Dreamers.
The Dreamers. There you go. Yes, the Dreamers.
That's the word they all use.
Giving
now.
the pathway to citizenship
Yes,
for Dreamers.
yes, they are. I did hear something about that.
Yeah, what was the total? Do you know what the total budget that was passed right here? Do you know what the amount was?
Am I supposed to know, or are you?
No,
are
I
you
think.
gonna
I'm
surprise
going
me
to
here?
surprise you with this. 1.3 trillion for this budget that was passed. That's for 6 months.
6 months.
Yeah, 6 months. 6 months. Now, I just wanted to point out that there are 30 Jewish congressmen and 1 Muslim congressman.
Okay.
And I was told, and I researched that they just stay away from pork. I just don't understand how this passed.
Well, they may have all been opposition votes.
Yeah, they may have. It ruins the joke, though, don't it?
You know what I was just thinking, when you're reading off some of these numbers.
Mm-hmm.
Years ago, I read, I think it was Ronald Reagan's autobiography, like the book that he released after he was president. And he said whenever they talked about budget numbers, that he would, talk about government numbers and, millions of dollars at the time of wasteful spending. And he said that people just didn't comprehend. They couldn't wrap their minds around the numbers. But then one day he was talking about how a department saved $30,000 because they did something. That all the people started cheering because they understood. Like that's a number that
$30,000.
Yeah. I mean, even to us, like $10 million, $100 million. That's more money than we'll ever see in our lifetime.
No, it won't. With this show, we're going to be making that in about a year.
Yeah, every week.
But you're 100% right. And I was actually going to bring that up to you that we're at a point where like nobody can grasp $4 trillion.
No, it's like made up numbers.
Yeah, exactly, and that's why nobody can really care. I mean, we do, and many other people do, but the vast majority of the public, when they hear numbers like that, they get that glaze over their eyes because they can't really process what the people are saying. When you say a number like that, it's so absurd. It ends up just becoming.
Well, to the average person, it's like, what's the difference if our national debt is $14 trillion or $20 trillion? I mean, really, what's the difference?
Yeah. I mean, obviously there is
6 trillion.
6 trillion is right. But it is just too large of numbers where people really can't grasp it. Of course, the government revenue for 2018 is estimated to be $3.34 trillion. That means the government is taking in $3.34 trillion this year. Estimated.
Wow.
Okay. And that's all estimated by the office.
And that's not enough.
Exactly. It's not enough because the spending after this budget is passed is planned to be $4.173 trillion for 2018.
And you know the thing of that, though? Right now, the economy is relatively good, right?
I suppose.
We're not in an active war, although the military is all around the world doing various things. Okay, I'm just trying to make. We're not in a world war. We're not in a huge, massive conflict. Yet we still can't spend within our means.
Yeah, you're right. I
You
mean,
know, like
we have
the economy's good. There's really not too much going on.
yeah. Every year we do take in the new largest amount ever taken in by any government.
You mean the 3.34
The
trillion?
3.34 trillion, which is the new most ever taken in by any government. But even with that, we still are going to have an $833 billion deficit this year alone. And, I mean, that's almost another trillion added onto our national debt in 1 year. I mean, how is this acceptable? You're actually you're an accountant. Well, hopefully, soon to be.
Training to be an accountant.
Yeah, you have the degree, you just don't have the CPA.
Yeah,
you know.
yeah.
So at least you have kind of a little more of a passion for this, this absurd.
It's still
spending that
kind
we
of
have.
Not exactly that fun reading through government budgets.
I've seen you read just financial statements like they're comic books. Okay.
Maybe not quite, but they're not as well. I guess they can be fun sometimes, but they're not that fun.
Yeah, no.
Luke's rolling his eyes in case you can.
The fact that you even said that, don't entertain that. And we were lucky.
So if you had to choose between financial statements and comic books, you would choose comic books.
Could I choose nothing?
Aw. You're hurting me on both ends of the spectrum here.
I would choose financial statements.
Oh, wow. That's kind of surprising.
Yeah, because at least I could use that towards something.
Practical knowledge?
Practical knowledge,
Yeah.
exactly.
I wasted a lot of time as a youth reading some Justice League comics.
I don't even know how you...
We didn't have cable. Isn't that a good enough reason there?
Yeah, you're right.
I didn't have a lot of
Couldn't
friends.
go outside, though.
I could go outside. I did go
right?
outside. I remember warm summer days where I'm reading comics and the windows open.
That's pretty funny.
So what do you want to do now? Should we read...
Well, we should go ahead and touch on my one hero in Congress right now, Rand Paul. Rand the Man Paul. He's
got a good last name. I like it.
Yeah, it reminds you of like a Ron Paul or something.
Ooh, any relation there?
Right? There has to be, you know.
You would think. So Rand Paul was sort of amusing the night before they voted on the budget. He was live tweeting just various things that he found in the budget as he was trying to read it the night before. Who writes these things, by the way? Where do these things come from? Do these senators and congressmen really write these?
Well, it's supposedly, obviously, lobbyists have influence on it, but it is just the heads. It's the head of the head of Republican and Senate, the head Republican and Senate, the Speaker of the House,
McConnell, Paul Ryan,
and then both Democrats for Senate and
Pelosi and
Schumer. Is it?
Schumer,
No,
Chuck Schumer.
Is it really?
I think so.
Yeah, I'm gonna believe it's Chuck Schumer.
We're gonna go with Chuck Schumer.
Yeah, so it's those four. Now, of course, they're the ones that are really actually putting everything together.
They gotta
behind closed
delegate it
doors.
to other people.
Obviously,
gotta
you think they could write
oversee it.
2,232
No,
pages
not at
themselves?
all. Not
They
at
haven't
all.
done that much work ever.
And Nancy Pelosi with that famous line, "We got to pass it before you can read
You
what's
gotta
in it."
pass it. She's just really famous with that. She was.
I still remember that. That was from like 2010 or 2011?
Yeah, when the Obamacare.
Yeah, that's what it was.
Mm-hmm.
I can't even remember. I remember the line though.
Yeah, it's a great line. I might actually go and clip that so we can play that from now on. It would have been a good clip for right now.
Yeah, that would have.
Yeah.
Dude, we didn't think of it before.
Yeah, right? So yeah, we have all of his, well, not all of his, but many of his tweets, and we thought they were so interesting that maybe it was good to just read some on the show today. And I know, Paul, you're going to be the man.
Are we going to do them all? You want to do them all?
We can do many of them.
Many of them.
Many of them. So I'll let you, if there's any that don't really seem interesting enough or maybe aren't related to the budget, go and skip them. But yeah, otherwise, I want to hear the absurdity of what they have. Now, does he have any of those funny ones, like the $1 million for sexuality of quails? Are there any of those inside these tweets?
It's possible.
Okay, I hope so.
It's kind of a gray area.
It's a gray area? All right, let's go for it, man.
All right. He starts off with FYI. This is Rand Paul's tweets from March 22nd. FYI, the 2,200 page budget busting omnibus has been printing for 2 hours in my office and still isn't done.
Oh my God.
Those poor Rand Paul office workers there printing this.
Yeah, you got to respect them a lot.
And then he tweets, "Well, here it is, all 2,232 budget busting pages. The House already started votes on it. The Senate is expected to soon. No one has read it. Congress is broken." Should I read it dramatically like that all the time?
Please do. It was well done.
On page 207, 2,000 plus pages to go. Reading about the ever wasteful $6 billion to the National Science Foundation. And we got a picture here of Rand Paul with the extra large budget there. Let's see what is coming on next. You were talking about Japanese quail. Did you read these tweets?
I mean, I just know because he talked about that before.
Remember the $350,000? What was it? NSF spent asking if Japanese quail are more sexually promiscuous on cocaine.
That's the one. That's what I was thinking of.
Reading this monstrous bill is full of grant programs begun decades ago. Reminds me of Reagan's critique. The nearest thing to immortality is a government program.
That's actually a good line. I've never heard that.
On page 226, Rand Paul found something good in the budget. A kernel of hope, he says. No funds in this act will be used to support or justify torture.
Oh, wow. That's really, even though I know that they won't follow that.
Although one would say the omnibus bill itself is torture. Page 240, good news for states' rights. No funds will be spent to prevent any state's medical marijuana initiatives. Wow.
That is also really good to hear, actually. Surprising.
An issue that's near and dear to your heart there.
Yes, actually both those. I would say torture and that one are very close to my heart.
Except, are you pro or anti-torture?
Oh, I'm against it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I don't
All right.
believe that it has
I knew
any
that,
use.
but I was kind of being facetious there.
Oh, okay. For our listeners, at least they understand what my stance on it.
On page 278, 1,954 to go. $961 million to destroy our chemical weapons. And then he asks, who was it exactly who convinced our government to pay billions to develop weapons we now find deplorable? There's that word, deplorable.
And also, do you really think we're going to be dismantling these weapons?
Oh, who knows? I mean, maybe some, but not others. Who can really say?
Yeah, we don't even know how many we have. And, I mean, the government is the only one who knows that.
We trust the government to audit itself, but more or less.
We do?
Well, in this instance, that's self-regulation, right?
Yeah, that's true. Good, keep going.
Page 281, CIA retirement funding. Oh, he just makes a joke about John Brennan and James Clapper. We're going to keep going here. $1 million for the Cultural Antiques Task Force. $6.25 million for the Ambassadors Fund for Cultural Preservation. $20 million for countering foreign state propaganda.
Sorry, go back. How much was that?
$20 million.
Okay.
$12 million for countering state disinformation and pressure. $5 million for Vietnam Education Foundation grants.
Yeah, that was one that was like Vietnamese.
Well, he says
education.
Vietnam. I'm not sure if he means Vietnamese or about the Vietnam War.
No, I'm actually
Was it
quite sure that's a
Vietnamese?
Vietnamese. We're paying $5 million to the Vietnamese to teach for them to learn. I mean, there's many of these, by the way, in here that are related to other. We're giving money to other countries to do things for themselves. When you keep going, I'll point them out when they happen.
All right. $2.579 million for the Commission on Security and Cooperation in Europe. $15 million to USA Aid promoting international higher education between universities. $2.696 billion for international disaster assistance. $1.371 billion for contributions to international organizations. $51 million to promote international family planning and reproductive health.
These are all international.
Yes.
Oh my gosh.
Foreign aid at its finest here. $7 million for promoting international conservation. $10 million for UN environmental programs. $10 million for disadvantaged Egyptian students. $25 million for international religious freedom, which I don't know exactly what that is. Is that an organization?
I'm not sure, but there's a number of these that I don't even know.
$218 million for promoting democracy development in Europe.
Now, I can't remember where I heard this one, but it was very, very well done. It was Rand Paul. Yeah, read the next part. It was Rand Paul's tweet.
Well, he writes $218 million for promoting democracy development in Europe, and then he writes in parentheses, "Yep, the birthplace of democracy needs promoting."
Exactly. That's what I read. Yeah.
$1 million for the World Meteorological Association. Oh man, there's a lot more.
Keep doing it.
$12 million for scholarships in Lebanon. $20 million for Middle East Partnership Initiative Scholarship Program. $12 million in military funding for Vietnam. Maybe that's different than the other Vietnamese thing that I read a few minutes ago. $3.5 million in nutrition assistance in Laos. $15 million in developmental assistance to China.
Hold on. Think about that for a moment. China loans money to us every single day, and we're not even going to pay back the interest or take away some of the money that we're loaning from them, but we're going to give them money for something completely unrelated.
We're going to give them money that they probably gave us.
Exactly. That's actually
and then we're going to pay them back with interest.
Yeah. Oh, man. I mean, it's just... The government is... Man, they're smart, aren't they?
Maybe we're in the wrong business.
We are in the wrong business.
NSA prohibited from targeting U.S. persons with freedom. FISA, what's that stand for?
FISA?
Yeah, FISA.
The freedom of...
No, that's freedom of information. That's FIOA.
You keep reading, I'll get FISA.
Yeah, FISA.
I know.
And they said, sounds good, but privacy advocates fear the NSA still does backdoor targeting of U.S. persons. I think we're all aware that the NSA still is tracking everything that we do at any given point in time.
Yeah, FISA is the Foreign Intelligence Surveillance Court.
Uh-huh.
They're the ones that anybody who's trying to get a warrant to search or to get your internet history or pretty much anything that they want to get a court order for, they immediately go to the FISA court, and the FISA court has signed off on 98% of all court order requests.
Oh, okay. So there's a rubber stamp?
They're rubber stamp.
Page 357, section 8116. No funds can be used in Iraq in the Convention of the World War Powers Act. Sounds good, but haven't we been back in Iraq at war against new foes without any new congressional authorization? Yeah, we never really left Iraq, did we?
Nope.
Or Afghanistan. Let's see. I'm trying to get to the next part here.
Sure.
There's kind of stuff that...
Unnecessary.
Yeah. Page 365. Overseas contingency operations.
Really quickly.
Yes.
Let me just touch on... You said, reread that one with the... about the War Powers Act.
Oh, there was a few. What did it say? No funds can be used in Iraq, that one?
Yeah, well, basically, let's just point out that the U.S. military has 800 bases around the world, stationed across, 80 countries, or however many countries it was. And we have 138,000 soldiers stationed around the globe. Right there, it's unconstitutional, first of all, to be that spread out with all these different, I'm not going to call them wars because I guess they're not, but conflicts that the president signs off on just to send troops over to. It's A, unconstitutional, and B, we really do wreck a lot of the world.
In the name of freedom.
In the name of freedom. We really do. 138,000 soldiers? The founders never had any expectation of even having a standing army. I don't understand. Go ahead. Keep going.
Oh, here's one that's pretty funny. Rand Paul writes, I found it. Border security. What President Trump wanted. No, wait a minute. The section says defense can spend what funds it determines to enhance border security of Jordan, Lebanon, Egypt, and Tunisia. Well, reading these, you got to read these with a dramatic voice. If I would have just read that without one, it wouldn't have sounded nearly as
It
good.
was well done.
Let's see. No money shall be spent for the permanent stationing of U.S. forces in Afghanistan. What do they mean by permanent there? We've been there pretty permanently
16 years?
Is it that it? It seems like
16 years.
seems like it's more.
Well, technically it depends if you want to go back to the Gulf War. I don't believe we actually fully pulled out even around then, did we? So late 80s?
Oh, over there?
Yeah. We technically have been in a perpetual war in the Middle East since about 88.
I remember the early 90s when Bush 1 was in and they did Desert Storm and Desert Shield. But I was a little too young to really be familiar with international politics in the 80s.
Yeah, if anybody wants to look into our perpetual war in the Middle East, antiwar.com is an extremely useful website that has all the information of America's constant conflict over the Middle East since, I believe it was 1988. It's by Scott Horton. He is the man who started the website, has a couple books out. He's a genius when it comes to military conflicts, especially in the Middle East with America.
Very interesting there.
Mm-hmm. I'll have the website on our website, just linked to it.
Get a
actually.
link to it.
Yeah, definitely.
There we go. All right, so here's a bit of good news. The government's going to earn $350 million by selling oil from the Strategic Petroleum Reserve.
Are we allowed? Is the government allowed to be a business? I don't believe they're allowed
That's
to.
a very interesting philosophical question.
No, it's not philosophical. I really do believe that that's actually. I'm pretty sure that is against the law for them to, or at least against the founding Constitution, at least.
But he also writes the bad news is that the money won't go to reduce the $21 trillion debt. The money will be spent elsewhere by the federal government.
What is $350 million going to do
It's
to
a
the
drop
debt?
in the bucket. See, that's these numbers. They're all too big. They're all too big for us to comprehend. Sure, $350 million would be nice to pay down the debt, but we would just spend it somewhere else.
It would take massive slashes in overall funding. Like it would have to be out of the $700 billion.
Slash it.
What is that?
I think that's from Parks and Rec.
Really?
Yeah, did you ever see Parks and
Oh,
Rec?
I've watched all the episodes.
Isn't that a thing? Didn't I get that from there? Or am I just making that up?
You might just be making it up.
Maybe I'm just imagining that.
But I'm going to YouTube it later and find out. All right.
Page 447. $30 billion to the Department of Energy. Pow!
Jesus.
And then, let's see.
What does the Department of Energy actually do, Paul?
That's a good question. Oh, no. What did I just do? I don't know. I don't know what the Department of Energy does. We're going to have to Google that. Could that be a future show? What does the Department of Energy
We can
actually do?
How we do an episode of what does this department do, and we'll do many departments because there's a lot of departments that make no sense. So
That is a gold mine right there.
not-
Because
yeah,
there's
actually,
so many departments within
so
the
many
government
departments.
that we could have material for years.
Oh yeah, I'm going to look into that, and we'll probably do an episode on that for sure. But go ahead.
We'll start with Department of Energy.
We're definitely starting with that.
All right, so we're gonna go on. Rand Paul ordered some pizza. There's a picture of him eating pizza.
What kind of pizza?
Looks like I don't know.
It was
man.
Papa John's. I know that. but
It
like,
is not. We're from Illinois. We're from the Chicago area, and this pizza here,
It's crap.
yeah, it looks like crap.
Yeah, well, it's Papa John's.
I've never. No, well, I don't think it is. It Papa John's?
I'll look
Oh
at-
yeah, I can see the sign on the
I looked at
box.
the picture. I
didn't.
like how he actually set that picture up to where he put one slice of pizza on top of the box just to kind of make it look like I'm one of the guys just sitting here with a pizza reading the bill.
So you think Rand Paul didn't actually eat pizza?
Of course he ate the pizza, but he's just trying to show that he's like down with the common man.
Do you think he ate it with a
doing this.
knife and fork?
I hope to God he didn't.
Would that change how you feel about Rand Paul if he ate it with a knife and fork?
No, I'm not. I'm gonna be fine. Rand Paul, I don't know. He's high class. And
He's still
everything,
all
but
right?
He's still all right. But Donald Trump, you might not remember this, but he had a picture when he was running for president of him on his private jet with KFC sitting in front of him, and he had a
Okay.
fork and knife, and he was eating his KFC with a fork and knife.
He was eating fried chicken with a fork and
Kentucky fried chicken.
Kentucky Fried Chicken.
Yeah,
no
just
less.
to be very clear, it was
State
KFC.
that Rand Paul's from.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah. And then it says joining Tucker Carlson on Fox News at 8:30 Eastern. We got some clips from Rand Paul and Tucker
Actually,
Carlson.
yeah, you are right. Let me go ahead and
do
get
we
this
have
one.
those ready?
Do you remember which clip is the one that you wanted? Was it the first clip, the second clip? Do you not
We
remember?
could play both. I would just say play the first clip first and then the second clip second.
Yeah, let's go ahead and do number 1, and then we'll do number 2. All right.
You know, I'm kind of old school. I think you ought to read the bills, before we vote on them. This is a 2,200-page bill. We got it last night at midnight. I've been working all day diligently through the bill, and I'm up to page 600. But, I've still got quite a bit of ways to go to read the bill. As far as the content of the bill, this could have been written by President Obama and liberal Democrats. When I ran in 2010, when we had that Tea Party tidal wave, we were opposed to President Obama's spending, and we were opposed to President Obama's trillion-dollar deficits. This bill will give us a trillion-dollar deficit this year.
We've talked about that already on our show. The Republicans aren't even Republicans anymore.
No,
They've just moved over to the left, and the left has moved over.
They're just
to-
stay right where they are. It's more or less the party at this point from 1984. There's one party.
There's one party, exactly.
Here, why don't you get the next clip of Rand
Yeah,
going?
let's go right here.
I think this is why people are so upset with politics, because when the Republicans are out of power, when they're in the minority, they are the conservative party. But then when they get in the majority, there is no conservative party. Democrats don't care about spending any of the time. Republicans seem to care about it when they're criticizing Democrats. But now that Republicans are in charge, Republicans are like, Katie, bar the door. You talked about border security. I'm flipping through the pages today reading the bill. I find out there is money for border security in Tunisia. In Jordan. We have border security money in the Middle East, but not border security money for the U.S.
So I'm just concluding that the people who run the Republican Party in the House anyway just don't want increased border security.
No, what it is this. It's an unholy alliance. The unholy alliance between Republicans and Democrats is this. Republicans are not fiscally conservative on the military. They want unlimited spending on the military.
Right.
Democrats say, we'll give it to you. We're not really opposed to it. We'll give you the military spending if you give us the domestic spending. So really the unholy alliance, the unholy compromise has been going on for decades is we really actually have too much compromise in Washington. They're always compromising to raise spending and increase the debt.
That does seem to be one thing that they always agree on. Every year, the debt ceiling gets raised.
Yes. And I will say I agree with him that there just does seem to be too much compromise.
You know what I've always noticed, and this like boggles my mind. I have a couple friends who think that bipartisanship and Washington working, like Republicans and Democrats working together, is like the greatest thing ever. And I don't know why. Like, because do we really want them passing more laws at this point?
Well, it's not even that. It is just
More
that,
laws constantly, in their mind, more laws, like, the more the better in their minds.
Yeah, exactly. The more the better. It also ends up being, if when they start to work together, that usually means that there's some like mob rule type action going on, to where it's just whatever the populace kind of gets in their head, any idea that they get in their head, it just starts to get pushed through. And then all of a sudden you've already realized 6 months later, whoa, maybe we should have maybe paused on that for a moment, and it maybe would have been better that we didn't actually just pass everything that just came across our desk.
Well, the thing is that the government doesn't listen to what the people want. They
You're
listen
right.
to what the special interests want.
Yeah, and then it takes a lot of just being pushed around the American people till they finally get fed up and then vote everybody out. It happened in 2010, and it hasn't really happened since.
I don't know.
mean,
They keep talking about the big blue wave coming in.
I don't see that really happening.
I don't
Everybody
know.
says so. I can't really agree that that's definitely going to happen.
I wonder if the Democrats, let's suppose it does happen, the Democrats come into Congress and the Senate, and it's a big blue wave. Is that going to change government spending? Is that going to be like how the Republicans were with Bill Clinton?
No, because do you remember when the Democrats had both the Senate, the House, and the presidency?
Yes, we spent
Was-
ourselves to oblivion.
Yeah. You fast forward, now it's Republicans.
Yeah, now it's
and
Republicans with
Everything.
both.
Yeah, exactly. They control everything, even the governorship in the states and all the legislatures in the states. And then they don't do anything that the Republican Party, the voters for the Republican Party wanted, but they just keep on pushing the narrative along, just keep on spending and raising social spending and military spending and doing absolutely nothing that they were voted in to do. And then it's going to probably do the same. It's not going to change when the Democrats end up taking over. It won't.
If Republicans ever, if Donald Trump loses the White House, say in 2020, and a Democrat gets in, how is anyone going to be able to take Republicans seriously when they're like, oh, we got to stop spending. We got to stop spending the money. I mean, no one's going to listen to them.
Beyond that,
Or are people going to forget?
How are people going to? We have very short memories in America.
That's true. People do.
How are we going to trust Republicans or Democrats, but mainly the Republicans, especially after this, if you have control of the entire country at this point, you have the majority in everything, and yet you aren't doing anything with that.
Anything good.
Okay, yeah, you're right. But even now, they raised the budget, which is one thing that the Republicans say they're against, but they
didn't get rid of Obamacare.
They didn't get rid of Obamacare.
There's no border wall.
There's no border wall, which I don't really want.
Well, I'm
anyways,
saying that's
but
what they want.
That's what they promised, or at least that's what the presidents ran on. And they end up just raising a whole bunch of social care spending, anyways.
Yeah.
So it's like even if they do have control of everything, they don't even do anything that's a Republican interest.
If we read through these items and said this happened during Obama's presidency, is there anything different? Is there anything?
No. Just like Rand Paul said in that last clip, is there any difference between what you see? You could believe that Barack Obama wrote this bill.
Right.
It's crazy. So was there any more?
No, we pretty much ran through all the major tweets there.
All right. That being said, let's take a quick break, and when we come back, we have some great or crazy news. At least it's not great at all about Netflix. All
Stay
right.
tuned. Hey, welcome back, everybody. This is Paul, and that's Luke over there.
Hey.
We are the Useful Idiots, and we're going to talk about Susan Rice. Now, you might remember her from the Obama administration. She was the one who famously told a tall tale about what exactly happened in Benghazi. You might remember from just before the 2012 election cycle. She perpetuated this story on all of the Sunday shows.
But based on the best information we have to date, what our assessment is as of the present is in fact what it began spontaneously in Benghazi as a reaction to what had transpired some hours earlier in Cairo, where of course, as you know, there was a violent protest outside of our embassy sparked by this hateful video.
It was a hateful video, Paul.
So she was saying that they're outside of Benghazi, that instead of the attack that happened, that the administration later said happened, she went on all the Sunday shows and basically lied to the American people, saying that the attack was a result of a YouTube video that wasn't even that popular, that didn't even have that many views. And her story got debunked, and did she leave her position after that? Do you remember?
I don't believe it was immediate.
She was the ambassador to the UN at that time. She's had a long career in government.
Wasn't she Secretary of State after or before or after
She
that?
was in consideration to be Secretary of State.
Okay.
She was Assistant Secretary of State at one point in time.
Yeah.
But then once she was gonna be, once it came out that she was gonna be nominated for Secretary of State, and then people started saying about this clip basically, then she took her name out of the hat. She saw that she was gonna have a tough time getting confirmed.
Yeah, she was definitely not going to make it anywhere at that point.
So a career government employee, Susan Rice, what kind of company do you think she'd work for after her career in government's over?
I would probably say maybe a consultation group or something of that nature. Right?
Maybe like a military contractor or something like that.
Yeah, I'd probably say that.
Yeah. No, Netflix.
Netflix, huh?
Netflix has offered her a position on their board of directors.
Really?
Yes.
Now, does she have any qualifications to be on Netflix board?
See, after looking through her various jobs, she's only worked in government.
Really?
She's not.
So she's a lifelong.
Let's see if she had some private sector experience. Clinton administration. She was a managing director at IntelliBridge.
Okay, so she has management experience. She was a director at whatever
I-
IntelliBridge is.
Exactly. I don't see any jobs of hers working at. I don't see any past experience at Microsoft or Apple or Google
Or YouTube or anywhere there's media, at least.
Yeah. Or she doesn't have a television background other than being on the Sunday shows and lying about what happened in Benghazi.
She's a good actress.
But people did believe her for a little while, and then the truth started to come out.
Yeah.
But the thing that got me was that Netflix, like the statement that they released, I actually had a couple shares of Netflix, so that was what caught my attention about the story. I sold them, by the way.
Oh, I would have sworn you were going to hold on to that. Stock's going to shoot through the roof.
Well, the thing is, all right. So Netflix released a statement. When is this? Just yesterday. And should I read? No, I don't think I'll read the whole statement, but a couple highlights says, "We are delighted to welcome Ambassador Rice to the Netflix board," said Netflix co-founder and CEO Reed Hastings. "For decades, she has tackled difficult, complex global issues with intelligence," now here's the key word, "integrity, and insight. We look forward to benefiting from her years of experience and wisdom." Now, if you're the CEO of Netflix, would you use the word integrity to describe Susan Rice, whose most infamous experience was getting caught lying on the Sunday shows?
You know, she was able to blame it on other people, kind of with the ability to keep her name clear.
I do remember that. I do remember her saying that.
Yeah, so, obviously, she probably didn't make all the judgment calls in that situation. She is part of a huge bureaucracy, a huge government.
That's true.
That obviously is trying to.
Someone in the White House is probably like, "You're going to go on the Sunday shows and you're going to say X, Y, and Z, and you're going to enjoy it."
Yeah, exactly. So I can't fully blame her. Obviously, I'm not going to still be a supportive.
Are you defending Susan Rice?
We always have to.
This is so weird.
Shut up. I hate having being put in a position to defend somebody like that.
I know, like I usually feel that way about Donald Trump.
Yeah,
Like
we have
when
to do that, don't we?
defend Donald Trump.
Yeah, it's terrible.
Ugh. It's like my skin's crawling. But the plot sort of thickened when I read a little bit further and saw that former President Obama is in talks with Netflix for some sort of deal where he either serves as a moderator or produces shows or appears in shows on Netflix.
He already did with who was it?
Oh, David Letterman.
Exactly.
So that could have been the beginning.
There was probably a test to see exactly how many people decided to tune into a David Letterman and Obama thing.
Oh, now I have to watch David Letterman and Obama.
Oh, go
on
right
Netflix.
ahead. I'm not going to.
Did you watch it?
No.
Oh.
I listened to a couple highlights of it, and I didn't want to listen to it.
Yeah, so Netflix and Obama are currently in talks. So this is Obama was probably like, "Hey, you got to hire one of my people if you want to,
You think that Susan Rice is one of his people, though?
Maybe. I don't know. I don't know who his friends are in real life.
Bill Ayers.
Well, yeah, that's one. That is one. But yeah, Obama is currently in talks. Maybe soon they'll announce something. But Susan Rice on the Netflix board. So does that mean Netflix is going to turn to the left there?
Who's to say Netflix isn't already on the left? If you've watched Marvel, they're kind of already
They're
on
on
the social justice side.
Yeah, but is it going to get amped up now?
No, I don't think it'll have too much of a change. I think that it will give them some connections with maybe government.
Why does Netflix need connections with the government?
Like every other organization needs connections to the government. It's an easier stream of money.
I suppose, and I mean, it's gonna help them to prevent regulations.
Yeah, definitely. Well, net neutrality will probably actually help them. I don't know, actually. Yeah, we've talked about net neutrality
We were talking
before.
off the air about net neutrality and how hard it is to understand.
Yeah, definitely. So maybe
what
I'm
it
actually
is.
wrong. I mean, so
We
I'm
need
not,
to get some computer guys on here to talk about that.
No, because I know some computer guys who are just
They
more.
don't know either?
They like to fall step in line with the Democratic Party's view on it. So I don't really trust it because it's
Well,
very
we need
biased.
to find some Republican computer guys too.
Yeah, let's find some Republican ones.
The big nerd debate here.
Yeah, one of these days we'll actually understand it. Luckily, we can still read about it. I don't know anything about it, though.
So yeah, stay tuned to see if Obama and Netflix strike a deal now that Susan Rice is on the board.
In the meantime, I think everybody should be visiting our website, usefulidiotsshow.com.
Show.com. Yeah.
And then how about Facebook? We have Useful Idiot Show on Facebook and Twitter. It's at Useful Idiot Show.
You made them. You're looking at me.
I'm just confirming because I got a bad memory, Paul.
And our new YouTube channel, which you may already be listening to us on.
Hopefully, it is going to be the Useful Idiot Show as well on there. Please subscribe, check us out, and we will be back in a couple days with our next episode.